Hi, Amanda.
Hi,
Thank you
Drew.
again so much for taking the time to really just talk with us today. You are our first guest artist as part of our Magnum OPUS podcast. So it is super, super exciting. And you were the first person I thought of because you have such a bubbly personality. And I
Oh,
think all the campers that work with you are really like, yeah, I want to hear more about Amanda's background and what drove Amanda to music. So I got a couple of questions for you. And I really just want to start off with tell me a little bit about your background as a musician, like where you graduated, how long you've been playing and teaching, and all that fun stuff.
awesome. Yeah, good morning. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. So, I started violin in fourth grade through the Downers Grove District 58 orchestra program, and I fell in love with the violin right away, and I've been playing ever since. I graduated from Augustana College, just about 2.5 hours west of here in the Quad Cities, in 2007, and I got a music and a Spanish degree, actually. So, I did two
Ooh.
things. And then after college, I took some time to work and prepare before graduate school because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do, but I wanted to make sure before I went that I definitely knew. And so in
Yeah.
that time, I was working and I studied actually with Drew Lecker, another Opus faculty member who is amazing, as we well know, and prepared for my graduate school auditions. And then I ended up receiving my master's in violin performance at the University of Missouri Columbia in 2012, where I studied with Susan Jensen, and I was very thankful for that entire experience. And while I was there, I had a teaching assistantship in the role of an assistant director of the Missouri String Project, which was a community string program sponsored by the university. So it was really great. I was obviously there for performance, but I was doing a lot of teaching as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
after graduation, I started to build my violin and viola studio of students and freelancing, and I've been doing that ever since.
Oh my gosh. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, it's been
Um,
really good. I have 36 students right now, private students.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. And all of them are virtual, correct?
they are. They are all through Zoom and FaceTime. And I
Boy.
actually have gotten 4 new students in this pandemic, which has been a real gift. So
Hey,
it's
yeah.
going really well. Yeah, the kids are
That's
so
awesome.
adaptable, and the families
Yeah.
have been wonderful. So that's been great.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Amanda, I completely forgot you had a degree in Spanish as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
So what kind of made you like, did you take Spanish in high school and realized it's an awesome language that I want to keep pursuing, or did it start in college? What was kind of the idea for that?
Yeah, so I took 3 years of Spanish in high school, and, I loved it. I just loved the language. I've always loved language. I love to travel, so I'm really interested
Oh
in
yeah.
culture and how language is a part of culture and affects culture and all of that. And so I kind of knew I at least wanted to do a Spanish minor and a music minor, but I didn't
Mhm.
actually officially declare anything until my end of my sophomore year. But I definitely started out on the music and Spanish track right away from freshman year. Um, and yeah,
Nice.
I always really loved it, and I had a really wonderful experience. I did a lot of service learning and like bilingual tutoring in the Quad City areas with like refugee children and things like that and underprivileged kids.
Oh
Um,
my gosh.
and so I was able to use my Spanish in that way. And then actually after college, my interim job before graduate school is when I worked in a bilingual at-risk preschool in Bensonville. So I used my Spanish, spoke
Wow.
Spanish all day, and I would bring my violin for the kids. So it was really nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's
So
amazing. I can't believe I never knew that about you. I feel like such
yeah.
a
No!
terrible PA.
No, 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 not at all. Yeah. Well, and it's unfortunate I don't really get to use my Spanish all that much
Yeah.
anymore, but
Mhm.
I do whenever I can. So
Yeah,
it's good.
definitely. That kinda leads us to our second question a little bit.
Sure.
How long have you been involved in Opus, and how did you get involved?
So I first started teaching at Opus in the summer of 2015. And I learned of Opus through Mara Gallagher, who we all know and love. And I met her while playing in the New Philharmonic, which is a local orchestra. And I always enjoy my summers at Opus, and I always learn so much from all of my colleagues, and the campers are awesome. And it's so much fun to work with them. And I just think it's a great organization with a great mission, and I'm really thankful to be a part of it.
Yeah, likewise. I also learned of Opus through Mara Gallagher, and I was like, oh, I don't know, being a TA, I don't like for whatever reason, I'm like, I don't think I would enjoy it. And you're right, just from that first week there, you're like, man, it's a great organization with a lot of great people, and just kind of never looked back.
Yeah, yeah. I love the diversity of opportunities for the kids
Yeah.
that it's chamber music and orchestra and then the arts connection so they can really explore and see
Oh
that,
my gosh.
there's
Yes.
so much to do with their music. It's not doesn't have to be a one track thing, which I think is really good for kids to see that and to be able to explore and um, so especially as they're
Yeah.
growing up. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Going into a little bit more about your studio that you talked about.
Mhm,
So I know that you're a certified Suzuki teacher.
mhm.
And I imagine, since we just said everything was virtual, much of a student's progress through Suzuki in teaching kind of revolves around playing by rote. And if anyone out there doesn't know, playing by rote is where the teacher plays it and then the student kind of picks up on it. And I'm not Suzuki certified, so if I'm wrong, absolutely correct me. But my big question is, how has online teaching impacted your ability and even your students' ability to progress using Suzuki, since it's far different to play for them over a virtual screen as it is in person?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I I am certified through Suzuki Book 3, and
Mhm.
I teach out of the Suzuki books and as well as other I have students from ages 4 to 18, so it kind of depends when I
Mhm.
get them and,
Gotcha. Yeah,
and
yeah.
how the approach goes, but, I am teaching a 4-year-old by rote, right now
Oh
on
my god.
FaceTime. So, they adjusted very well, I've been very thankful, and when they're really little, like that age, either a parent or either maybe an older sibling who also studies with me in some cases, will be there with the young one to help them. But some of the
Absolutely.
kids are as young as 8 and are on their own and they're okay. Um,
Mhm.
so it's I just kind of had to. So right away we sort of took the first lesson to just sort of figure out how were we going to stand so that we could both see each other. How could I put my violin into the screen so that they could see me?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
as far as the older kids, even, you can't play, as you well know, you can't play with somebody on Zoom or with somebody on FaceTime.
Yeah.
So it's actually, I would say, forced them to be a lot more independent and confident because I can't play with them in their lessons. So they're sort of almost forced to play on their own.
Mhm.
So as far as that's concerned, I think it's actually been really good. I think, and in some cases, some ways better, which is something I would have never expected.
Wow.
So I
Yeah,
think I would
okay.
something that I do, and I do this in normal times, but I've done more of it in the pandemic. Is I make and send a lot of practice videos. So I'll record for them so that they can listen and watch me at
Mhm.
home in addition to the
Mhm.
lesson. And then we do a lot of like I play, and then I'll get up and I'll put my scroll right into the screen and say, "Can you see my left hand?" And then I'll
Yeah.
say, "Can you see my bow?" And then, and then they'll play back, and we do little sections that way. And yeah, they've been doing really well. They're very good
Yeah,
listeners, and
adaptable.
they're very adaptable. Yeah, they're good. They have themselves usually all set up before the lesson even starts, and
That's
they're just sort
awesome.
of used to the format. And I've had some older students even tell me that this format has made them more confident because they do have to be,
Wow.
they do have to like always play by themselves. Like they can never say, "Can you
Yep.
play this section with me?" And so what I'll do is I'll play like when we're learning something new. I will play a little section for them, kind of talk through it, and then they
Mhm.
will play it back rather than maybe in normal times we would play it together or something like that.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
good.
that's really, as somebody that maybe I can teach from the Suzuki books, but I'm not Suzuki certified,
Uh-huh.
so I don't give the same experience, and I understand that. It's a goal of mine to become Suzuki certified, but just knowing that, yeah, like, it's still possible to teach through rote, through these clever strategies and giving these practice videos and all these huge, huge tips. Can you, I'm actually wondering, what does it look like to become Suzuki certified, book to book?
So I did my teacher training in an independent study format, but You can, the most common way to become Suzuki certified is to attend an institute. So you attend per book.
Oh, okay.
Previous to book one, everybody has to go through this class called Every Child Can, and they offer it. I don't know if it's virtual now. I'm not sure what's going on, but so like that,
Mhm.
I did. It was held at DePaul, and that's sort of like the preliminary. No matter what instrument you play, you go through that, and then you must take. I believe it's books 1 through 3. I hope I'm saying that right, in order.
Mhm.
But then
Okay.
after that, you can take out of order, but you have to take the first 3 in order. And you do book by book. And involved in that is being educated as to how Dr. Suzuki went about setting up the books, the order of the pieces,
Mhm.
the
Okay.
methodologies, and what's the reason why you would teach each piece technique wise. And then also a lot surrounded on listening and the importance of that, and when do you integrate
Mhm.
note reading and all of that. So yeah,
Ah,
that's sort
okay.
of how that goes. Yeah, I would love to do more of it as well. I know there's a place in Deerfield, Suzuki Institute, and then there's a very popular Suzuki Institute up in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, that a lot of people go to do
Gotcha.
their certification. So there are many
Mhm.
options.
Yeah, places out there.
And again, pandemic has changed things, so I'm not sure how. It differs now, but that's kind of my story as far as the certification. And also, when you do it, there's per book you have to have a certain number of hours of lesson observation. So you
Ah,
get to observe
okay.
other certified Suzuki teachers in that book
Sure.
on those
Yeah.
pieces. So that was a very helpful. I'm so thankful for all of that training. It really gave me. I was like a Suzuki kid myself, and so it really opened my eyes to just exactly how brilliantly those books are put together,
Yeah,
and all of
yeah,
that, and how you can trace things that you learn and twinkle all the way through. Just how he compiled those books was really amazing.
that is awesome. It's
Yeah,
always kinda been a goal of mine, so even just to learn a little bit about it everywhere I can, I really appreciate that. I
sure.
got another question for you talking about virtual here. How has playing virtually impacted your performances and some of the gigs that you have? I know that playing at weddings and maybe playing at a local church was always really, really big for you, and I'm wondering how that's been impacted.
Yeah, so very sadly, the pandemic has impacted the performance aspect of all of our careers in a major way. Orchestras are not
Mhm.
gathering, and anybody in the singing wind brass world, that's just it's so sad. Um, I've seen a few orchestras are starting to gather to pre-record concerts that will be later streamed online, but that's just as of recent. For myself, I played one distanced and outdoor string quartet gig this summer. That was a wedding anniversary celebration, and that was amazing to make music with people again. And then I do play in church each week with a pianist, um, and that has been really really wonderful, and I've been very
Oh,
thankful for that as
awesome.
well. So I've been
Yeah.
able to do that. So yeah, it's been good. But I will
Mhm.
be very very thankful when all of the performing comes back, and get up there and
Oh,
gig again. I do love
absolutely.
it, and I do miss the performing and the collaboration and all of that. So
Yeah, absolutely. I have one last question for you here, and it kind
sure.
of ties everything together. So, we are always on the lookout for the best practice techniques. So, I really want to
Yeah.
ask you, Amanda Fenton, what is your, like, if you have practice advice or something that always works for you when maybe you're in a rut, even now when we don't have too many performances to really shoot for, what kind of gives you that drive to be like, okay, today I have to play violin again, or today is a day I get to play violin again. Just anything that you want to mention sort of on that realm of practicing.
Yeah, sure. I think practicing slowly with the metronome is always the most
Mm,
helpful.
yeah.
I think that's just always the go-to, and I think it ensures the most accurate and consistent technical and musical results when we practice in that way. And just I just have to remind myself never to be in a hurry, and remind the students never to be in a hurry, because I think that's
Absolutely.
when the most efficient and effective work gets accomplished is with slow practice with metronome.
Definitely. Yeah. Amanda, I really want to thank you again for your time. This has been super, super helpful, and we're really, really excited to continue this Opus faculty and TA interview series. And I was really, really glad that you were the first person that helped us kick off. I think this has been a huge success. And yeah, everybody check out our Magnum Opus podcasts. We are every Saturday. We go live on our website, www.napopus.org. That's NAP as in nap, opus.org. And if you haven't already checked out our future musical journeys program that starts in January, also check that out as well, because it's going to be a ton of fun. And really, we cannot wait to see you guys there. It's going to be big. All right, gang. Well, as always, thanks for joining us, and I will see you next week for our future Magnum Opus podcast. Stay tuned.